Welcome to the final portion of 2017 Security Awareness Training. We're going to discuss defenses that will help us protect our credentials and prevent our accounts from being stolen. So if you haven't already watched the password hack demo, be sure to do so now. The number one defense against password cracking and password guessing is passphrases. Whether you like this guy or not, here are some words of wisdom regarding passphrases.
Bad passwords are one of the easiest ways to compromise a system. For somebody who has a very common 8-character password, it can literally take less than a second for a computer to go through the possibilities and pull that password out. I think the best advice here is to shift your thinking from passwords to passphrases. Think about a common phrase that works for you that's too long to brute force and also make them unlikely to be in the dictionary. It can actually be a lot harder to remember a password that they tell you has to be 13 characters long or something like that. It has to have exclamation points, it has to have numbers, it has to have uppercase and lowercase letters and things like that, than it is to remember a simple phrase like Margaret Thatcher is 110% sexy.
Wow. That is a password that not even a computer would guess.
Here's a great example of passphrases and the time it takes to crack them. As you can see, just creating a simple, unique sentence makes a world of difference. Here's some more great examples of passphrases. You'll find that as you type passphrases more often, you can actually type them pretty fast. Using a commonly known passphrase is fine, such as 7 years ago, as long as you add some entropy to it. That is, change or add something, make something a little different, perhaps personal. That way, if someone tries to brute force a long password hash using commonly known phrases, they won't be able to crack your password. Let's talk about managing passwords. There's two things necessary, really, to protect your accounts: using a passphrase and also keeping the passphrase unique at every site, at every account you have. The problem is if you do these things, your brain may explode because you think you have to memorize all these passphrases. If you know someone who does this and has every password memorized, I really want to meet that person because it's a tough thing to do. That's why we always recommend the use of a password manager. With a password manager, you can generate truly unique and hard-to-crack passwords for every website and application you need to log in for. As long as you remember the master password to access the password manager, then you're good to go. But therein kind of lies the problem. That master passphrase is a single point of failure. You need to protect your password manager with a seriously secure passphrase and keep it unique. Now, people sometimes worry, well, what if my password manager gets compromised? My whole life would be gone. Well, that may be the case, but you're probably more likely to get hit by lightning than have that happen. So really the benefits significantly outweigh the risk, in my opinion. In this presentation, I'm going to show some quick videos of 3 of the most popular password managers out there. And it's important to note that these are just examples and that there are others out there as well. The first is LastPass. It's available for Mac, PC, iOS, and Android. And it's a cloud-based management tool. In other words, you don't have to install anything to get started with LastPass. They offer extensions for major browsers that make the service easier, but they really aren't required. All of these password managers have password generators in them. So when you're creating an account, you can automatically generate and fill with strong passwords. Now, I like to create my own passphrases, but you can check the box that say easy to say or easy to read and create passphrases using these tools as well. The basic version of LastPass is free, but I strongly recommend the premium version, which is only $12 a year, because they've added services such as multi-factor authentication, desktop application passwords, and shared folders with customized permissions. Team versions of it are available as well. The next password manager I want to show you is 1Password. It's available for Mac, PC, iOS, and Android. What I like about 1Password is that you manage the storage of your password locker. You synchronize it with your account on iCloud or Google Drive or Dropbox. In other words, it's never stored at a site that you don't control. 1Password is not cheap. It's $65 as a one-time purchase, but they do have it available for families for $5 a month for up to 5 people. And team versions are also available. Finally, the last one is a free one called Keypass. I recommend this one for team use, where you can store the encrypted password locker on a file share somewhere, and your team can use it to store passwords for shared accounts, service accounts, and any other information you want to protect, but yet still share among other team members. While the other password managers will do the same, this one is free and it's also pretty easy to use. It's primarily available for Windows, and it stores usernames, passwords, other fields, freeform notes, attachments, all in an encrypted file. The file, of course, like other password managers, is protected by a master password, a key file, or even a Windows credential. But by default, the Keypass database is generally stored on a local file system, not in the cloud. We talk about two-factor authentication during every presentation because it's available all over the place, and you really should enable it for every single account you can. So with that in mind, here's a simple video that explains what two-factor authentication is.
Passwords are everywhere. We use them to access our money, our communications, even our social lives. At first, we used one password for everything, but that wasn't good enough, so we started making our passwords even more complicated and began using password managers to organize the dozens or hundreds of the unique passwords we used. But no matter how complex our password system was never enough to prevent account takeover, because all it took was one phishing email or database exploit, and your password was out in the world. So, if passwords are impossible to protect on their own, what do we do? That's where two-factor authentication comes in. Two-factor authentication, or 2FA, adds a second method of identity verification to secure your accounts. First, the thing you know, your password. Then, something unique that you have, like your phone or fingerprint. By combining your password with one of these factors, attackers can't access your account even if they have your password. The most common 2FA systems use a unique one-time code with every login attempt. This code is tied to your account and generated by a token, smartphone, or sent to you by text message. The more modern and most secure form of 2FA uses a mobile app to send an approval notification to your smartphone or smartwatch for the least hassle possible. With 95% of breaches involving account takeover, two-factor authentication is the most effective method of prevention. It's time for everybody, businesses, governments, and you, to take the easy and effective step of enabling two-factor authentication on all accounts. If it uses a password, it needs to use two-factor authentication.
Definitely visit twofactorauth.org and check out the sites that offer two-factor authentication. It's usually free to set up, and you should do it on every important site you can, including your social media accounts. For really important things like your bank accounts, you're going to have to enter a code every time, for obvious reasons. But you won't have to enter a code every time you check Twitter or Facebook. But what it will do is prevent someone from using your account on a new or different device if they don't have that second factor available. Let's talk about some quick reminders and we are done. Remember that while devices like Apple and Android encrypt by default, laptops running Windows don't. Remember this scenario. If your laptop is stolen, is there any consequence to anyone being able to see the information on it? Because a password alone will not protect that information in this scenario. The laptop needs to be encrypted so that prying eyes won't be able to see your information. And of course, you never want to install the encryption passphrase with the laptop. Finally, Wi-Fi is everywhere, and many of you use free Wi-Fi all the time. But the bad guys can easily do man-in-the-middle attacks of Wi-Fi to try to intercept your information. If you do use Wi-Fi, and especially if you travel a lot, get personal VPN software. It encrypts all your internet connections between your device and laptop and a trusted provider. So if someone is trying to intercept your communications in a Starbucks, they won't have the same success. Two of my favorites, and they're very easy to use, are F-Secure Freedom and NordVPN. There's a link below this video to a document called 2017 Security Awareness, Links and Information. A lot of the information in this document actually comes from previous presentations. These useful links include tools and techniques that you can use to better protect your home network and even emulate some of the same defenses you have at work. There's also links to check the reputation of websites, links, and attachments as well. Speaking of previous presentations, they're all available on this YouTube website, and I encourage you to check them out, share them with friends, use them however you like. In the fly phishing hack that costs millions, you'll see a real demonstration of an attack using social engineering, getting a user to click on a link, and then you'll see the theft of a lot of valuable human resources information. In Cyber Wars, you'll see a Wi-Fi man-in-the-middle attack, as well as a real demonstration of how easy it is for an attacker to escalate privileges. In Help, My Fridge Has Been Held for Ransom, you'll see how dropped USB keys or CD-ROM drives in the parking lot can result in the compromise of an organization's network, as well as some other fun stuff. So check them out. That's the end of the presentation. Thanks for being here.